Ese guachillo no es cualquier guachillo, Rola. Es de las fuerzas especiales.
Murciélago.
Y a los murciélagos únicamente se les mata por la espalda.
Lo estoy llevando por unas tortas de la vaga.
Aquí al ladito.
The film opens with a tense, wide-angle shot across rugged terrain along the Mexico-U.S. border, establishing not only a geographical frontier, but a moral one. The story springs to life when two women, a mother and her daughter, pull off the highway for what appears to be a routine break. What they stumble upon instead is a mass grave, grim and chilling, hinting at the lethal underbelly of lethal cartel violence. The moment jolts the viewer. This isn't just an action flick, it's rooted in trauma and atrocity. From this moment on, the narrative hurtles forward. Captain Armando Guerrero, a hardened leader of an elite army squad, enters the frame. He and his team are drawn into a confrontation with the merciless cartel boss, Joséfo Urías, and his brother sacrist, N. The cartel declares war when their hideous crimes are exposed, and Armando's rescue mission quickly spirals into a deep cover battle for survival. Armando's squad, tightly knit and disciplined, sets out to investigate the gravesite. The mother and daughter provide cryptic clues, steering the soldiers into enemy territory. At the expedition's heart lies the discovery of soldiers killed in prior combat, disposed of by Urías's gang, an atrocity that transforms the conflict from rescue to retribution. The cartel retaliates, launching a brutal ambush. One after another, the squad faces loss. Men die, loyalties fracture, and the mission shifts from self-defense into something far more personal. Paulo, one of the soldiers, is gravely wounded. Damaso sacrifices himself to hold off enemies. The mother and daughter become unlikely combatants as they arm themselves with found weapons in a desperate defense. The final act turns visceral. Armando confronts Joséfo face-to-face in hand-to-hand combat, the stakes desperate and primal. The fight ends with Joséfo defeated, and though Armando spares his life, the price has been staggering. The survivors, women and men, are airlifted back to safety, scarred but alive. Casting brings this story to life. Luis Alberti portrays Captain Armando Guerrero, commanding the screen with quiet strength. Noé Hernández embodies the ruthless cartel leader Joséfo Urías, his presence heavy and menacing. Leonardo Alonso plays Damaso, whose sacrifice underscores the film's theme of duty over self. Luis Curiel plays Paulo, the soldier wounded in the field. His vulnerability humanizes the battle. David Lien is Combo, Guillermo Nava is Toro, Mayra Batalla is Lucia, the lieutenant, and Ishbel Batista is La Cobra, each stepping into a role that amplifies the ensemble tension. The direction by Xavier Cartas and script by Josrub N. Escalante Mendez carry the film's intent. More than just non-stop action, the aim is to reflect a war behind the headlines. In terms of release, the film debuted worldwide via streaming on February 28, 2025. From the drop of its trailer on February 4 onward, audiences were primed for a gritty experience. The marketing highlighted the rescue gone wrong trope, the ambush, the military cartel face-off, setting expectations that this would be a lean, fast-paced action thriller with Mexican roots. So, what makes this movie tick? The aesthetic is spare and brutal. Set largely in borderlands and cartel hideouts, the cinematography emphasizes dusty roads, high desert skies, and claustrophobic tunnels. The action sequences don't linger. There's little idle exposition. Rather than lavish set pieces, the film relies on compressed storytelling and quick escalation. Some critics note that at about 85 minutes runtime, it wastes no time. The script doesn't luxuriate in subplots. Instead, it dives headlong into conflict, which many viewers appreciated for its efficiency. Thematically, the film operates on two levels. On one hand, it's a visceral confrontation between state forces and organized crime. On the other, it explores survival, loyalty, and the moral costs of warfare in a world where the lines between victim and combatant blur. Reactions have been mixed, but lean positive in key areas. The film earned decent marks from audiences who value action simplicity and efficient pacing. Some have praised the authenticity of the Mexican military setting, the harshness of the terrain, and the sense of immediacy in the squad's mission. On the other hand, criticisms focus on the predictability of the plot, the relatively thin character development, some soldiers are underexplored, and a few tonal missteps in the dubbed versions where emotion didn't always translate perfectly. The consensus appears to be, if you're looking for deep character arcs or moral complexity, this film may not satisfy, but if you want a lean, gritty action thriller that doesn't overstay its welcome, it delivers. Behind the scenes, the film is an interesting crossover for Mexican action cinema. With a Spanish-language production distributed globally via streaming, it underscores the growing reach of non-Hollywood genres. The director Chava Cartas leans into intense, grounded set pieces rather than bombastic spectacle, and the film's production values, though modest compared to big-budget blockbusters, show careful craft. Sound design emphasizes gunfire and radio chatter. The editing keeps things tight. The score underscores the tension without being overly orchestral. The setting on the border brings a socio-political edge. The idea of mass graves, drug cartels, insurgent violence, border checkpoints, all of this lends a realism that heightens the stakes beyond a simple good guys vs. bad guys shootout. The trailer played a key role in shaping viewer expectations. Released in early February, it showcased the ambush, the squad standoff, the grim scene of mass graves, and hints of betrayal. Audiences commented on the surprising brevity of the film and the lack of big star names, but appreciated the raw energy. Some Reddit threads noted disappointment at the lack of any connection to the video game franchise of the same name, but acknowledged the film stands on its own merits as an action vehicle. For fans of the genre, some keynotes. The film's pacing is relentless. There's little downtime, and the stakes escalate quickly. The father and daughter hostage subplot provides emotional anchor, but isn't overplayed. The focus remains on the soldiers and the cartel. The climax, which shifts into close-quarters combat and a fight between the leader and his nemesis, is both symbolic and cathartic. The film doesn't end on a neatly resolved note. The moral ambiguity remains. Armando spares the villain, showing a measure of restraint, but the losses incurred, the bodies, the trauma remain. It leaves the viewer aware that war doesn't always produce heroes who are unscathed. As for suitability, the film is recommended for adult audiences comfortable with violence and moral grit. The dialogue, being in Spanish with various audio/subtitle options, benefits from original language viewing for authenticity. Some dubbed versions may lessen the emotional punch. If one watches in the original language, the performances feel more grounded, and the accent, local flavor, and cultural weight come through more strongly. Looking ahead, the film's success could signal more of this kind of international action production, blending regional settings with global distribution. It serves as a reminder that the fight for justice trope continues to resonate when set in new contexts and rooted in local realities. From a channel point of view, it's worth highlighting how films like this bypass traditional cinematic windows and go straight to streaming, catering to global audiences hungry for action beyond familiar Hollywood formulas. In summary, Counterstrike is a tight 2025 Mexican action thriller that wastes no time and brings a border war aesthetic to a military cartel showdown. With solid casting, a stark setting, and a brisk runtime around 85 minutes, It's more about adrenaline and less about complexity. It has its flaws, predictable beats, minimal character backstory, but if you're in the mood for an efficient, gritty action ride, it fits the bill. This film isn't trying to reinvent the genre, but it does make a strong, clean case for action cinema rooted in place, context, and consequence.